Good evening, Harold. How are you?
Here. Hi, I'm good. I'm good. So we moved it up a bit. You have an early night.
I was going to learn something else, but that's okay.
All right. Look, you're learning something.
Yeah. So what's going on?
Not much. Same old, same old. Nice weather for a change. It's
Oh,
nice.
it's gorgeous. It
Yeah.
was spectacular.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff, this Gomorrah business.
Definitely. It's just amazing how people they just know it's so cold they can just hop it. It's it I guess when you're young and you're learning, it's much easier to retain. But when you're older, it's just like, oh my God, it's very tough.
That's true.
What do you guys do for Pesach? Do you go away?
Now we stay here because we have a lot of people
Oh,
to work, my cousin, my nieces and stuff.
uh,
So usually the Seder is about 20 people.
oh, yeah.
So it's not so easy to move them around, and the kids are small and stuff. So
Yeah,
we're
little,
working on it.
yeah,
When they get a little older, then we can think about doing it, but not
yeah.
yet. Yep.
Did he make any changes? I think we agreed 7:15. Yeah,
Yep.
7:15. Okay.
Yep. He said 7:15.
Yeah. Hi, Ernie.
Mario is joining us, and so is Abe, and I think so is Walter. Walter, we're learning now, so we started this year. Talk to you later. Okay. Okay, here's Abe. I'm and here's Mario. Okay, good.
Hey. Hello, Abe. Thank you, Mario.
We are on Samech Zion 67.
Yeah.
So there is a pair of Averos that we link together. We say a Macy's, and a Medea. Here's Walter. Good. We got everybody.
What happened? Yeah, we changed.
Yeah, because everybody was available earlier. We might as well do it earlier.
Okay, so did we start already?
No, I was waiting for you.
Thank you. Okay.
Samech Zion, Amud Aleph, the Mishnah. We know that there's a pair of Averis that we say a Macy's and a Medea. And this Mishnah is going to teach us the difference between the two. So a Macy's, this is one of the ones mentioned that they get skila. Zehedyot. This is a regular person who convinces somebody else to worship Avodah Zarah, not a Navi. We're going to see a Navi who is Macy's. This Mishnah will say he's killed Bechenek, not with skila. But the Macy's that we're talking about in our list of those that get skila is a Hedyot. Then the Hametis is a Hedyot. What does it mean to incite an individual person and not multiple? Omar, the guy says, Yesh Yira b'makom ploni. There's a certain avodah zara, Baal Peor, or Merculus, and it's located in a certain place. Kach ocheles, kach shose. It eats, it drinks. Kach metiva. It improves the living conditions of those that worship it. Kach meria. It does bad to people who don't worship it. Now, that's the structure of what a Mesid has to do to be Chayv Misa. Now, the Mishnah is now going to tell us something very unique. In all of halacha, when you bring a case to Bezdin and you're going to give capital punishment, or, for example, Malkot, you need 2 Eidim to witness the act. Not only that, the witnesses have to give the person a warning, a hasra, and say, you know that the act that you're about to do, if you do it, you're going to be Chayv Misa. And the guy has to respond to them and says, yes, I understand. However, a mesis is different. Kol Chayve Misa Shabbatorah, ein machminin aleim chutz mizu. We don't hide Eidim in order to catch somebody in the act. So, for example, let's say we know this guy's going around being macist people. We can hide 2 Eidim behind a wall where he doesn't know that they're there. And they don't have to give hasra. And you can take him to Bezdin and kill him with that mechanism. Now, in a regular case, if a masis tells 2 people, Omer Lishnayim, come and worship this avodah zarah. So, Hain Edav, you don't need 2 other people standing there witnessing him speak to other people or whatever. No, they themselves can be the Eidim. And they don't have to give him Asra before the Avera. Those 2, Mevinos ala Beis Din v'soiklanoso. They can bring him and give testimony, and Beis Din will kill him. Omar li'echad. Let's say he's being masid an individual person. Now, an individual person cannot serve as 2 Eidim. Hahu oimer. The guy who was listening to the masis says to the guy who was being masis him, Yeshli chaverim rotzim bekach. You know, I have other friends who are interested in this. I want you to repeat what you said to me. Now, imhaya arum vena yochla debai b'fneim. Let's say he's shy. He doesn't want to speak in front of the group that the guy was proposing that he speak to. That's okay. Machminin lo edim achrei geder. Another time, they can hide 2 Eidim behind a fence so that he won't see them. The guy as an individual the guy already had tried to be maces him. Omer lo, you know, emor ma shamarta biyichud. Why don't you repeat what you had said to me before? Valo omer lo. And he says, you know, come worship this avodah zarah. V'hu omer lo, the Jew who there's been an attempt to be maces him, says, how are we going to leave Hashem who's in heaven and go and worship these avodah zarah that are made out of wood and stone? Im choyzer mut. If the maces has charata, he regrets what he did. Well, you know, you're right. let's not go and worship it. Fine. But imamar kachi chovosenu. No, we are obligated to go worship that avodah zarah. Kach yafelon. It'll be good for us. Then those two edim that were placed behind the wall, right? There was no asra, so this is the unique in Tariq mitzvahs. They can bring him to Bezdin and he'll be killed with skila. Now, the other terminology, evod avodah zarah. I'm going to go and worship avodah zarah. Eilech ve'evod. I'm going to go and worship. Or neilech, let us go and worship. Ezbach. I'm going to shech to the avodah zarah. Eilech ve'ezbach. Neilech ve'ezbach. Or aktir. I will go and burn incense. Eilech ve'aktir. Or neilech ve'naktir. All of this, as well as by hishtachava, Neilech, Eshtachava, Eilech v'Shtachava, Neilech v'Shtachava, all of these are L'shoinois that will work for a Macy's. Okay. So the Gemara analyzes our Mishnah. A Macy's is a hedyoid. So we said a Macy's is not a Navi, it's a regular person. Time a hedyoid. Ha Navi, if he was a Navi who was trying to Macy's other people, he would not be killed with skila, ela bechenek. He's choked. Va'mesis es a hedyoid. So a mesis is punished with skila if he's mesis a yochid. He tries to convince an individual. Ha rabim is bechenek. If he tries to be mesis rabim, he's killed bechenek. Therefore, masnisin mani. Who is the author of our Mishnah? Rav Shimoni. Because we learn in a Baraisa. Navi Shehidiach is Beskila. Now that's not our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says only a hedyoid gets skila. We learned that if it's a Navi, according to our Mishnah, he would chenek. Rav Shimon Oimer bechenek. That if a Navi is Mediach, he is killed bechenek. This Baraisa continues, Mediche irani dachas. Those that try to convince a city, they're killed beskila. Rab Shimon Oimer bechenek. Comes out, our Mishnah seems to be exactly Rab Shimon. However, let's quote the next Mishnah. Ema Seifa. Hamediach, which is different than Maces. Let us go. He's speaking to a group. Let us go and worship Avodah Zarah. We're talking about people who are trying to be Mediach a whole city. Now, also the Rabbanon. This is not Rab Shimon anymore. Rab Shimon says it's bechenek. But this Mishnah is going to say, the next Mishnah is going to say that such a person is killed beskila. So, Reisha Rab Shimon and the Sefer Chachamim, Sefer Rabbanon, it seems like it's a split Mishnah. So, Ravina Amar Kula Rabbanon. Ravina answers that no, our Mishnah that we just learned and the next Mishnah, it's all Rabbanon. And velo zu avzuktani. That the Mishnahs are in a structure. First, it gave the simplest case, and later on, it gave the more stringent case. Not only in this case, but in that case as well. That not only that that our first Mishnah said that if somebody's mesis ahead, you're treated b'skila. So the same thing. If you meidich and yarani dachas, you're done with skila. Rav Papa Omar, a different answer. Kik Tani Macy's ahead, yod. It's not to be mavdil him from a Navi. It's to teach us this din of Achmana, that you can hide Adim and you don't have to give him Asra. But it's not only a Macy's if he does a single person skila. Really, if he does multiple people, also skila. Or And where do we see the Baraisa like that? The Tanya. Ushar kol chayve misa shebetoira, ein machminin aleim, chutz mizu. All other capital crimes, we don't set up Eidim this way. What do we do? Madlikin lo saner b'bayis apnimi. We light a candle in the inner house. Umoshivin lo Eidim b'veis achitzon. The outer house is dark. He cannot see the Eidim there. The Eidim can hear him because they lit a light, they lit a candle in the inner room, they can hear him. V'hu eina roya osan, he cannot see them because they're in the dark. V'halo, the person who was attempted to be Nisis, oimerlo, emor ma shamarti li biyichud. Repeat again what you had told me when we were together. V'hu oimerlo. And the Masis repeats it. Let's go worship Avodah Zarah. V'haloyamer, the guy says, how are we going to leave our God in heaven and worship Avodah Zarah? So if the Masis im Chayzer Boch Mutav, good. He has Charota. But no, we got to worship the Avodah Zarah. It's good for us. The Eidim who heard the whole thing, now, I don't know, those of you that have the regular Gemara, I'm using the Steinsaltz. So this part is not censored. You tell me if it's censored. V'chein asu leben stada belud. They did this. This is how Ben Stada, who lived in Lud, was convicted of Avodah Zarah. V'talu be'erva Pesach. They hung him up, l'chura, on the cross. This is talking about Yeshu on Oak Street, which the censors have removed from the regular Gemaras.
It's not here.
You don't have it?
No.
Okay.
No.
So let me read it. V'talu be'erva Pesach, right? Because Easter, right? What happened on Easter? He died. He was resurrected. So they say, right? That's all on Pesach. So the Gemara says Pesach.
By the way, Sparia has it. I'm using Sparia at the moment. They have it.
So the Gemara says. So the Gemara says Ben Stada. His name was not Ben Stada. His name was Ben Pandira. His father was Pandira. Amrav Chizda. Baal, the husband of his mother, was Stada, but he was a mamzer. Boyel was Pandira. Pandira was like a Roman officer. Rabbi Gruman used to teach us this. And that he was a mamzer from this Pandira. They called him Pundrek. I don't know if George remembers that, but Rabbi Gruman taught us this.
No, I don't remember that. That was
Yeah.
not when I was there.
Okay,
Go ahead.
They used to say Yosela Pundrek. That was the Yiddish term, Yosela Pundrek. I
it
remember
comes
that.
from here. Comes from here.
Interesting. Okay.
Comes from here. So the Gemara says, what do you mean Baal was Ben Stada? Baal was Papas Ben Yehuda. Imo Stada. The mother was called Stada. What do you mean? Listen to this. Miriam Magdala Noshim Avi. It was Miriam Magdalene, the weaver of women's hair, who was the mother. So the arm from the Disa, Satas Domi Baila. That means she ran, she went outside of her husband because this child was a mamzer. Of course, the censor removed all of this. Okay.
By the way, they used to call it in Yiddish to call it Yoshka Panda. Always Yoshka Panda.
Yeah, Harold just said he remembered.
Yeah, but it was Yoshka Panda. Yoshka Panda. That's why when people were called Yoshka, we couldn't understand. There were people in Israel that called them Yoshka.
Oscar Shapiro was head of World B'nai Akiva.
Right. So what is that? Yoshka is the head of, it's like Yoshka Panda.
Okay, what's from this Gemara in Sanhedrin? Mishnah. HaMediach. Zah Oimer, he says to multiple people, Neilech v'navod avodah zarah. Okay. And it also gets skila. And then we have a machashev. Machashev is a magician. But we're not talking about somebody who's just pulling the wool over your eyes. We're talking about they actually did kishuv. They actually made something happen. He was chayiv skila. Right? Ha'oisa maisa, chayiv. But the law, oiches is ha'inayim. Oiches ha'inayim is, let's read Rashi. Mara lebrios kihilu u osev ein osa klum. Magician. He shows the public that he's doing something, but really it's a trick. He's not creating something out of nothing. So such a person is not chayiv, a magician. But a machashev is. Like the Khartoumim in Egypt with Paro. Right? If Aaron, Moshe threw down the matan and became a snake, so they did the same thing. Well, theirs is a Maisa Kishuv. So if a Jew did that, you'd be chayiv skila. Now, Rabbi Kiva Omer Mishum Rabbi Yoshua. Shnayim loiktim kishuim. Two people are producing cucumbers. Echad loiked potter, ve'echad loiked v'chayiv. If he somehow creates a cucumber chayiv, but if he pulls it out of his sleeve, ha'oiches is ha'inayim potter. Omer Rav Marav. Madichei irani dachashanu kan. That this is the din of irani dachas, and according to this Mishnah, there's no difference between if your mace is a yachid or your mace is a rabbi. A mace is when you do yichidim, and a mediach is when you do rabbim, but the punishment's the same. Now, we paskin amadichim sheidichu yoshvi irani dachas are nidin beskila, like the chachamim. That's how the Rambam paskins. A novi shehidiach is also treated keskila, like the chachamim, not like Reb Shimon. And we paskin you don't need asra by a maces. You can hide the edim. And the din of a maces to an individual, whether he's a hedyot or whether he's a navi, he's killed with skila. And a machashev is also killed with skila. A guy who does magic gets makas. The chachamim give him malchus, but not minatorah. And somebody who does machashev gets skila. Then, Ton Rabbana, mechashefa is echad ish ve'echad isha. Witchcraft is both men and women. You're a warlock. Is that a warlock is a male witch? Right? A warlock and a witch is the same. Now, im kain freik the Gemara matam adom mechashefa. That's a lashon nekeva. Mipnei sherov noshim mitzius b'kshafim. There were more witches, female witches, than males. They were involved more in magic. In Macbeth, right? Even so, 500 years ago, in the time of Shakespeare, bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, right? So they were also witches. And of course, in Salem, there were witches, the females, much more we find connected to witchcraft. Misason b'ma. How was a mechashefa killed? Rabbi Yosef Glidor nemar kan mechashefa lo sechaya. The nemar le'alan, when we were commanded to conquer the Sheva Ha'amim in Eretz Canaan, it says lo sechaya kol neshama. So we make a hekesh. Mechashefa lo sechayeh kol neshama. Malahalon b'sayif. There, in Parshas Bamidbar Chafal of Pasuk Chavdalad, it says they were to be killed with the sword. Afkan b'sayif. So Rabbi Yosef Glili learns that a mechashefa is killed b'sayif. Rabbi Kiva Omer a different hekesh. Nemer kan mechashefa lo sechayeh. Nemer lahalan. By Matan Torah, it says lo siga boyad. Don't touch the mountain. Kisakol yisakel. O yaro yireh im beima im ish lo yichya. So the yichya and mechashefa lo sechayeh. Malahalan b'skila, because it says sakol yisakel. Avkan mechashefa lo sechayeh is b'skila. So Amar Rav Yosi, ani danti lo sechayeh milo sechayeh. It's an exact hekesh. Ve'ata danta lo sechayeh milo yichayeh. It's not the same word. Amar lo Rav Akiva, ani danti b'Yisrael midin Yisrael. By Matan Torah, it's Jews. And Shariba ben Akos of Mises Harbi, there's multiple ways of killing Jews, not just Skila. And if over there mentions Skila, here also is Skila. V'ata danti Yisrael minachim shelo riba nakasu elam yisachas. You tried to learn the Hekesh from the Sheva Ha'amim. They only have one type of Misa, which is Sayif. So it makes more sense to learn from Jew to Jew. Okay, we're not done with the Tanoi. Ben Azai Oimer, Nemar mechashefalu sechayeh, and the immediate next pasuk, Nemar, kol shochev im beima mos yumas. It says by bestiality, whoever sleeps with an animal is killed. Samchu inyan lo. So mismichas aparshios, ma shochev im beima beskila. We learned already that the punishment of bestiality is skila, af mechashev is skila. Amar Rav Yehuda, v'chim nation samchu inyan lo, no tzilazeb beskila, because you happen to find them next to each other in the psukim, you're going to take this guy and kill him with skila? No. I'll give you a better shot. It says, Ov v'yedoni bichlal mechashefam ayu. We've learned now, Ov, where this was some kind of oracle where you would ask to hear the voice of your loved one who had passed away, and you would hear the voice coming out of the person's armpit. The Yedoni was they put a ostrich bone in the mouth of the guy, and the voice would come out of the bone. This is some kind of magic, but it's real. This is a magician did it, like Harold said, Winchell Mahoney. It was not a ventriloquist here. Here it actually happened. So we already have the din of Kishuv. Why was Ov Yedoni separated out? Lama Yotzu. Lahakisha leyan. To make a hekesh to them. The loymalacha. Ma Ov Yedoni b'skila. It says beferish by Ov Yedoni that the person who does it is skilled b'skila. Af machashev b'skila. So any other witchcraft involve other witchcraft is killed b'skila. So Rav Yehuda Nami Levi Ov Yodini Kishnei Ksum Abom Ke'echad. Now, why don't the Gemara has a very interesting approach here. We have a principle of Shnei Ksuvim Abom Ke'echad Ein Melamdin. Why don't we learn Ov Yodoni are two different halachas that were learned in the same pasuk, and therefore Kol Shnei Ksuvim Abom Ke'echad Ein Melamdin. So we can't learn it to the case of Mechashev. Rav Zechariah, Ada Amr, Ksaver, Rabbi Yehuda, Shnei Ksuvim Abom Ke'echad Melamdin. He did not hold of the shita that Shnei Ksuvim Abom Ke'echad Ein Melamdim. He held you can be melamed them. Okay. Rav Yechna. Lama Nikra Shmon Kshafim. Where did the word Kshafim come from? It's an abbreviation Shemakishin Pamalya Shalmaila. It looks like it's going against the natural laws that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in the world. That's Kishu. Then it says, Ata Reis Ladas, Ki Hashem Elokim Ein Od Milvado. There's nobody like Hashem. Amar Rav Chanina. Afilu Dvar Kshafim. somebody who's Dovik in Hashem, Kshafim has no power on that person. Hahi Itza, there was a woman, a witch. She was trying to gather dirt from around the feet of Rav Chanina where he was standing, and she would do some kishuv with it and do a spell and damage him. Amr law. Listen, if you want, go ahead and do it. I'm not worried because Einod Bilvado Ksiv. I have to tell you, I think I've told this story before. A noted Orthodox psychologist, we all know him. He went to school in Georgetown. And he was taking a class in like abnormal parapsychology or, abnormal people, whatever. And they brought a supposed witch in. This was like a postgraduate seminar. There were just a few students. And they brought this witch in. And she was on the stage and was going to go through this whole thing. And she fainted and she couldn't carry out what she wanted to do. And she fainted, lost consciousness. When they revived her, they asked her, what's going on here? What happened to you? She said, out there in the group is somebody who has the power to pray. And none of what I do can work in that setting. And there was an Orthodox person in that class who prays 3 times a day. It's just a very interesting story. I heard him tell that story once. This fits very well with the Gemara. We just learned that the witch, that Rav Chanina told the witch, Einod Milvado, you can't do anything to me. The Gemara says, Eini, it's not so. Rav Yechidon. Lama nikra shman kshafim, shemachishim p'mayishal mala. So they can fight against the normal rules of nature. So you have to be afraid of them. Why wasn't Rav Chanina afraid? Shiny Rav Chanina did not fish schusim. Rav Chanina had massive amounts of schusim. And the Kishuf would not have worked with him. On Rav Eva bar Nagram Rav Chia barava. Bilatehem. The Khartumei Mitzrayim, the magicians of Mitzrayim, it says Bilatehem. Eilu Masa Shedim. This is work of demons that you can't see them. It's done balat. Balat means secretly. Then it says Bilahateya. Elu Masek Shafim. That's actually magic that they do. V'cheinu oimer v'eslat acherev amisapechas. That the sword, this was a Kodesh Baruch Hu put a sword in front of Gan Eden so you can't get in there, and it spins on its own. It's some kind of kishuv. Amar Abaya. The kopit amana. That's shade. Kopit amana means they rely on a kli, like magicians that have like a wand or a hat, right? They had certain kelim that our magicians are not doing anything real. But it sounds like in the time where they were doing mamish kishuf, so if they relied on some kind of kli to aid them, that's not real kishuf. That's ma'aser shadim, demons. Things that we can't see. Now, Deloitte kopid amana, those mechashefim that didn't need a kli, so that's kishuv, that's kshafim. Amar Abaya, halachos kshafim ki hilchos Shabbos. By Shabbos, there are 3 madregas in Pari. You have chayiv, you have poter avaloser, and you have mutter. Same thing by kishuv. Yesh man beskila, right? There are those things that we've discussed that you get skila for. Yesh man poter avaloser, that really the Bezdin wouldn't punish you, but the Chacham don't want you to do it. Yesh man shemuter lechatchila. There's some things that are permitted. So what is that? Ha'oisa ma'isa, you actually do some kind of magic thing. You're chayiv skila. Ha'oiches es ha'inoyim. You do a magic trick. You make it look as if you're doing something, but you're not really. You're pulling it out from under your sleeve. The hand is quicker than the eye. You have slate of eye, slate of hand, all of those things. Potter, avalosser. You're not allowed to do it. Chachamim don't want you to do that. Hamutter lechatchila. What's mutter? Krav Chanina of Rav Oshia. There was a sefer called Sefer Yitzira. This is obviously a Kabbalistic book. It was in the time of the Tanoim and Amoraim. And they created a calf every Erev Shabbos using the Sefer Yitzira, and they would eat it for Shabbos. So this is permitted. Om Ravina, Om Ravashi, Chazir le'avua de karna, the nafetz v'shari krichi dishroi minihirei. I saw the father of Karna. He would sort of blow his nose. He'd be able to pull sort of silk scarves out of his nose. But this is achiza seinayim. This is magic, the Meforshim say. Okay. It says, Vayomru achar tumim el paro edzba Elohim hi. By Shchin, every other, up until Shchin, the Khartoumim could do whatever Moshe and Aaron did. Finally, by Shchin, they couldn't do it. And they said, this is the finger of God. Well, what's this? Mikan, the kinim was very small, smaller than a barley bean. And magic and shadim can't produce something that small. So they understood that this is not kishuf anymore. This is from Hashem. Rav Papa Amar, what do you mean? Really, they have no power to create anything. Even a big camel they can't create. Don't think that you say they can't create small things, but they can create big things. They can't create big things either. But hi michnifle v'ilo michnifle. They can gather animals together, like a Pied Piper, like the snake charmers in India. They have some ability to gather animals in a certain place and bring them from one place to one place. But those are only large animals. They can't do that with small animals. Amar Rav Rav Chia. Rav said to Rav Chia, I saw an Arab. The shakle lesafsre v'gaidi legamle v'tarfle b'tavle v'kam. I saw an Arab. He took a sword, cut a camel in half. And then he banged the drum, and the camel came back to life. What happened to the blood and the guts that were there? So there wasn't. It's like, what are those guys in Vegas? I went to see them with my mother and my family once. I took my mother. What was the name of those? They were the
Siegfried and Roy.
Siegfried and Roy. They used to do these big, they made an elephant disappear off a stick. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying here. That they didn't even cut it in half. It was some kind of magic act. Siegfried and Roy, exactly. At the Mirage.
Yeah.
When the Mirage first opened up, it was the hottest hotel. You know, the Mirage is closed.
Right. Yeah.
They're gonna be destroyed.
It's old already. 30 years old. It's old.
Right, but remember, it was like the hottest place.
We hit there tigers and all sorts of stuff.
By the way, so once I was at a show in Vegas, David Copperfield, he called up 30 people onto the stage. Okay.
And he called up you, Moshe.
And he called me. I had my yarmulke on. He said, "Oh, Moshe, you come also." So I came up there, and they made 30 people disappear.
Wow.
Off the stage. We were one of them, but it was nice kishuv. So
Well, what did he mean? What was it? An elevator that dropped you?
No, it was like a crazy thing, and they didn't know where we were. I don't know. It was he asked us to not say anything of how he did it.
I see.
But
I saw David. I saw David Copperfield.
The Jewish guy.
But I'm just.
But I
telling you,
didn't see the 30 people disappear.
30 people disappeared off the stage.
Hmm.
What?
Did the stage open it?
I'm not telling.
He made $30 disappear.
That's how many years is it still there?
I don't know, it still comes.
Okay, so the Gemara says, since there was no blood and no guts, he obviously didn't cut him in half. It was a magic act and not real kishuv. Zeiri ikli Alexander shel Mitzrayim. Zeiri visited Alexandria. Zovin Chamri bought a donkey. Kimata lashkuyi maya posher v'kam gamla duskinta. He went to drink, he brought it to drink some water. And water is the ingredient that causes the kishuv to go back to what it was. So it became like a wooden board. So he went back and he wanted to get his money back. Amru, he loves Ziriat Lahavim Adrian Loch. If you weren't such a great man, we wouldn't give you back the money. Because make it dissolve in midi do you think people buy things that don't check it with water before they walk away with it? Everybody checks. So l'chora in ancient times, before you bought something, I guess you poured some water on it to make sure that it was not something that had been created with kishu. And if you didn't check, it's his fault. It's like buyer beware. Yanai ikli lahu ushpiza. Yanai stayed at a certain hotel. Ormelu Ashkin Maya. He wanted to have water. Privushasisi. They brought him some flour mixed with water. But he saw that these people were like, their lips were moving. They were doing some kind of incantation. So he dumped some of this water on the ground and became scorpions. So he knew that there was some kishuv going on here. I'm going to drink from you. You drink from me. He also did some kind of magic. Ashke Havi Chamra. And she became a donkey, this woman, the innkeeper. And Rachva Solka, he rode this donkey to the market. Also Chaverta Psharle. And then her friend undid the incantation. So now he was riding this woman in the market. Okay. Vatalat Sfardea, Vatachas es Eretz Mitzrayim. It doesn't say Vatalat Sfardeim. It says the frog came up. Was one frog. Then it gave birth and it filled up the whole Mitzrayim with frogs. And this issue is the Ketanois Machlokes Tanoi. Rabbi Kibo Emer Tzvadei Achasaiso, Umalas Koleretz Mitzrayim. All of the frogs came from one frog. You're not an expert in Agadata. You're expert in Dinei Tsaras for Ayalois, which are difficult. Leave Agadata to us. The frog whistled, and all the frogs followed and joined it. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Very interesting.